Well, I appreciate y'all doing that, and it's my pleasure to be with you today. Absolutely. I have a book I'd like to read to you, and have you guys read this book before? No, well, that's good. I haven't either. We'll read it together. Yeah.
Trick or treat, smell my feet.
That's exactly right. These guys picked out another book for me back here, but we came in and we got this book out of your stack over there, if that's okay.
That's perfectly fine.
All right. And what I'd like to do is just read this book, and then if you have questions or we have time, I'll be glad to answer your questions. And it's my pleasure to join you today.
And boys and girls, Flat Stanley is going to get to listen to the story too, and he gets to sit right next
Wow.
to the mayor. We're real excited.
His name is
Flat
Stanley.
We've been reading a little book series about Flat Stanley this year, and we're going to be sending him on some adventures. So.
All right. Send him to City Hall to spend a day with me.
Here's some
Huh? Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. Flat Stanley. This is about Mr. Flat. Good deal.
That's what we're reading.
All right. Okay, here we go. I'll give you those back. Trick or treat, smell my feet. Here we go. The next day was Halloween, and Gilbert packed his Martin Space Pilot costume into a paper bag so he could change later at school. Lola copied him and put her pink ballerina costume into a paper bag. "You're too little to go to school," Gilbert said. "I'll take you trick-or-treating when I get home." "Okay." "Okay," said Lola. "I'll practice." She held the bag open in front of Gilbert and said, "Trick or treat, smell my feet." Gilbert answered, "I don't want to smell your feet. That's what you're supposed to say on Halloween," Gilbert said. Lola laughed and sang, "Trick or treat, smell my feet. Now give me something good to eat." "Here's a treat," Gilbert said, and he dropped the piece of toast he was eating into her bag. All right, let's see. After breakfast, Gilbert grabbed his paper bag and headed for the door. "Goodbye, Gilbert," Father called from the kitchen. "We'll watch for you in the costume parade." Lola followed her brother and said, "I want to be in the parade also." "You can come and watch," Gilbert said. "I'll wave to you. Remember, I'll be the one in the Martin Space Pilot costume." All right, I've never heard of a Martin Space Pilot costume, have y'all? No. Patty was waiting for Gilbert at the corner. "What are you going to be for Halloween?" she asked. "Don't tell me," Gilbert whispered, "but I'm going to be Captain Zig." "I'm going to be a Martin Space Pilot too," said Patty. "I'm going to be Admiral Xena." "Hey," Gilbert said, "being a Martin Space Pilot was my idea." "I guess we had the same idea," Patty said. "I hope no one else does." All right. They were the last one in the boys' room, and some of their classmates were already in costumes. Gilbert counted 5 Martin Space Pilots. "I'm Captain Ziggy," Frank said in a deep Captain Ziggy voice. "I've come to save your planet." "Hey," said Gilbert, "you copied my idea. I was going to be Captain Zig." "Well," Frank said, "it looks a lot like we all had the same idea." All right. Pretty spooky costumes, aren't they? When the other boys finished dressing, they went back to the classroom. Not Gilbert. He wasn't excited about his costume anymore. He wished he had thought of something different. But now it was too late. He opened his bag. He closed it quickly and blinked hard. He opened the bag again. He wasn't looking at his Captain Zig costume. He was looking at Lola's ballerina costume. Gilbert pulled out the frilly pink tutu. "You must be some kind of trick," he said. He shook the bag and a half-eaten piece of toast fell out. "And this is definitely not a treat," he said. This is going to be interesting. You think he's going to have to wear that ballerina costume?
Yeah.
Gilbert thought a moment. If he had Lola's costume, she must have his, and she was probably wearing it right now, waiting for the parade. Gilbert needed to get it before the party, but he didn't want Miss Boyd to catch him outside without a costume on. She would think Gilbert forgot to bring one, and she had already scolded him once today. There was only one thing to do. Gilbert undressed and pulled on the tutu, tugging it up as far as it would go, and then he picked up the paper bag and tore out 2 holes for eyes. It wasn't exactly a mask, but at least it was a disguise. He didn't want his friends to see him dressed as a ballerina. I don't much blame him. What do you guys think? Has that ever happened to y'all?
Yes.
It had. Oh. When Gilbert stepped into the hallway, his class was already passing through. No one recognized him, so he followed them down the hall and out the door. The street was lined with people, watching and waving and taking pictures. Gilbert looked up and down the street, cutting in and out of line, but he couldn't find his sister anywhere. "Hey, quit pushing," someone yelled. "It's not me," a tall space pilot said. "It's that girl with a bag on her head." Oh, he called her a girl. "Please stay in line," a teacher said. Gilbert recognized Miss Boyd's voice behind him. Then he heard another voice he knew. "Look, Daddy, Gilbert's wearing my ballerina costume." Uh-oh. She just got him in serious trouble. Up ahead, he saw Lola standing next to his father, and she was wearing Gilbert's costume. "Hey, Gilbert," she called and waved. Gilbert looked around to make sure Miss Boyd couldn't see him leave the line. Then he rushed over to Lola. "I need my costume quick," he shouted. "Give me mine first," she said. "Stay with your class, boys and girls," a teacher said loudly. Gilbert grabbed Lola's hand and pulled her back toward the line with him. Lola thought she was going to be in the parade with the big kids, but Gilbert pulled her right through the line and headed for the school. "Hey, where are we going?" she asked. "Some place where we can switch costumes," Gilbert said. He knew that the side door was a shortcut to the bathrooms. Quickly he said, "This way." Sounds like they may switch. What do you guys think?
Yes.
They do? Okay, let's see. But Lola wasn't very quick. She kept tipping over the too big costume. By the time they reached the boys' room, they were out of breath. Gilbert pushed the door open, and there was Louis standing in his underwear. "Hey, no girls allowed," Louis yelled. "Let's try the girls' room," Lola said hopefully. "No way," Gilbert said. "Come on, maybe my classroom is still empty." Okay, let's see what happens now. Gilbert's paper bag mask had flown off. Everyone was staring at him in his tutu. Gilbert did the only thing he could think of. He twirled around the room, then raised his arms up and said, "Ta-da," or "ta-day." There was a long silence. There was a long silence. Frank finally said, "What are you supposed to be?" "He is a ballerina, silly." Lola said Miss Boyd helped her to her feet, and "I'm Captain Zig." Patty said, "Well, Gilbert, at least you don't have the same costume as everyone else." "Of course not," Gilbert said. "I wanted to be something different. My sister here wanted to be a space pilot like everyone else, but not me," he said proudly. Then he twirled across the floor over to the refreshment table. All right, so he's making the best of a bad situation, isn't he? Soon Father appeared at the door to take Lola home. Miss Bird gave her some pumpkin cookies to take back with her. "Trick or treat," Miss Boyd said, handing her the bag. "Smell my feet," Lola said, taking it. She passed Gilbert on the way out. "Are you still going to trick or treat me later, Gilbert?" "I guess so," he said. And Gilbert, "What?" This time can be a ballerina." Gilbert laughed. "Don't you want to be a Martin space pilot anymore?" "No," he said, taking Father's hand. "If I were you, I'd be one, but I'm not me, so I'm going to be a ballerina." She skipped out the door singing. And "Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat." The end. All right, so he did make the best of a bad situation. You guys ever done that before?
Yeah.
All right, good. They have questions, or do we have time, or?
We still have a few minutes.
Okay.
We have another reader in 10 minutes.
All
Y'all have
right.
any questions for Mayor Thompson?
Another reader?
How many readers do we have to read?
Don't know. I saw a lot of them up there. Okay, right here in the front.
How did you get here?
How did I get here? Oh, I drove my car. I just live right up the street here. I live in Chapel Hills, so you're about a 10-minute drive from my home. It's very close, and I love to come here. I come here almost every year. Yes. Pardon me?
I don't live close to
You don't live close to here? Oh, okay. You live in Temple? Okay, well, we're glad you're here. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
You live close to Jennifer.
I do? Well, that's good.
Has that ever happened to you?
Have I ever switched costumes?
Yes.
No, I can't remember it. I'm not sure I could handle it as good as he did. He did a great job, didn't he? Yes, sir. You live in Chapel Hills? We could be neighbors then. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I live in Holly Springs.
Have I ever been trick-or-treating? Oh, yes. I used to go trick-or-treating all the time. And I go trick-or-treating with my grandsons even now.
It's 2 days. I live near Chapel Hill, but I live in Holly Springs.
You live in Holly Springs. That's a beautiful, beautiful subdivision. Pardon me? What channel is this TV station? It's Comcast Digital Channel 22. But these guys have graciously agreed to provide you provide the school a CD of today. And not only will you be on TV, you can watch the CD. Okay. Any other questions? Well, thank y'all very much for inviting me. It's been my pleasure to come and join you today. And I hope you guys have a great Halloween and trick-or-treating. Okay, see you later. Thank you. Let's see, now this is your book. Who wants to